welcoming now Terry Hubbard. Her talk today is A Sacred Way, Radical Self-Care Prescription. Terry is a graduate of Iliff School of Theology. She's an ordained elder, currently on medical leave. She served at First United Methodist Church in Grand Junction, First United Methodist Church in Ogden, Utah, North Glen United Methodist Church, and First UMC in Castle Rock. She's a mind and body life coach, a spiritual director, a weight loss coach, and a Reiki master. She currently lives with her husband Mike, a retired Rocky Mountain elder in Henderson, Nevada, just 2 blocks away from their 2 granddaughters, Colette and Charlie, who offer them life's greatest joy. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. Most of your faces I do not recognize because we have never met. I went on what was then called incapacity leave 11 and a half years ago. It's a long time to be away. It's a long time to be separated from like-minded spirits. But I come today to invite you into several things. First, just pause. Take a breath. Close your eyes. Be present where you are. If your legs are crossed, if you're able, ground both your feet on the floor. If you wish, put your hands on your belly. And take in your breath to that belly space. And back out again. And in your own time, just do that twice. That alone is self-care. That alone is a practice that could make a huge difference in your lives and in your ministry. Just being present now. Not worrying about what didn't get done yesterday. Not being concerned about what you have yet to do for tomorrow. And I know all of those things. But just being present now. Some of you may be familiar with Brené Brown's new book, Rising Strong. I'm a great fan if you have opportunity to do some reading kind of outside of sermon preparation and how to get Sunday schools to run better. Read Brené. I think we'll hear about her later today from another talk. She writes in Rising Strong about falling down and having courage to stand back up. 11 and a half years ago, I fell down. Far. Deep. To a place that I didn't know if I would ever get out of. My body, my mind, my spirit failed me. And worse than that, I failed God. When I made the decision to proceed with incapacity leave, I thought my life had ended and I would never, ever get it back. Little did I know is that after that decision was made and after Mike and I journeyed through that, it got worse. I thought that was the worst that could be. And it got worse. And for 2 years, I sat in our home in northern Wisconsin. That's where we ran away to. on the couch with my 2 cats, one on either arm, literally sitting on me so that I would do nothing but rest. Nothing but rest. I have learned a few things in the years in between. There continues to be a struggle. I can't stand here before you and say I am completely clear and clean of all of the diseases that I left with. And that list was at about 26 different things that were wrong when I quit. When my body said, you can't do this anymore. And from my deepest heart, I do not want any of you to ever, ever get close to that point in your work, in your life. And so I come and share a few tidbits of what I've learned along the way and say that, like in Brene Brown's book, standing up and reconnecting with God is always possible. Redemption is how we would preach about it. There was a surprise to me on the journey. The biggest surprise, I think, was that I believed something that ended up not being true. We taught, we preach, we believe that because God's love is unconditional for us, and we are in relationship with others and want to pass on that unconditional love, good stuff, right? Except for when we turn and face the mirror of our own lives. The biggest thing about your own self-care and your own practices in your ministry and in your lives is self-love. Because if you truly loved yourself, we as a whole, United Methodist clergy and others who serve the church, wouldn't be in the category of ill health as we are according to the General Board of Pensions and the surveys that they did in 2012 and 2013 that said that clergy, our tradition, have much higher health issues related to obesity, prediabetes, hypertension, asthma, and a whole sort of other things than the general population. Excuse me? If we loved ourselves, and I don't mean to sound fierce, but I do mean to sound fierce. If we are not taking care of what we have been given, what has been created by God in our bodies, we are not practicing self-love. Plain and simple, guys, that's the truth. And for some of us, that's really, really, really hard to hear. And so I don't come viciously, but I come fiercely to say that if we are not choosing ourselves as a priority in our life, to eat properly, to exercise enough, not too much, which I have done, to sleep well and enough. And all the other things that perhaps you have even heard of in some of the talks that have been since last night about taking care of ourselves. The issue behind all of that, I believe, is right in the mirror. And so question 1, do you, as part of your health and well-being, really love yourself? Truly, at your core, so that it is making such a difference for you that you're doing all you can to sleep. that you're doing all you can to eat well and exercise well. That's the biggest. That's the first. And I do believe that that is the most difficult. It certainly has been for me. And I'm still on that journey. And I still wrestle with that self-love. But I offer that to you as something to pay attention to in your life. The second thing that I learned in all of these years is that if we are not, as people, within the group of those who serve others for the church or not, practicing meditation in our lives, we are doing ourselves a disservice. And it really doesn't matter what kind of meditation. You can go to Father Keating and doing centering prayer. You can go to Zen Buddhists and practice that way. You can practice the way Thich Nhat Hanh does. You can practice Jon Kabat-Zinn. It doesn't matter. This is the statistics. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Not just prayer, folks. Not just, dear God, please help me with this. Centering meditation. 5 minutes. Gives your body, your immune system, your health and well-being 6 hours of benefit. Now, please, the number one excuse for not practicing self-care is time. I have little grandchildren. This is a part of my life. That's nonsense. 5 minutes, 6 hours of benefit? Okay, so you're going to work 12 hours tomorrow. I hope not, but say you are. Could you spend 20 minutes to gain health and well-being for your body? Could you do that? Would you do that? Are you willing to say, yes, 5 minutes, 6 hours, I can do that piece of cake. I'm going to stretch mine to 10 minutes because I really want that full day. Statistics also show us that if we can practice, and Father Keating believes this strongly, 20 minutes twice a day, you can build a really strong immune system. You can build really strong health without doing much else, even though those things are important as well. The other thing, so meditation and stillness. Stillness is one of those things that as we began practicing being present and realizing that you're right here, and then becoming still as you do that, can have huge benefits for you. I think I need to find somebody, I'm not a technology person, but find somebody to develop a BS app for your smartphones. Because I know you are all following your smartphones very carefully. And there's much that they do for you. But I want you to put one on your telephone that has a little BS ding on it. And the BS is for be still. Go to Scripture, folks. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Take a breath right now. You feel the energy in the room move down? My granddaughters watch a cartoon based on Fred Rogers. It's called Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. And the 3.5-year-old loves Daniel Tiger. And they're even teaching children to do this. There are little songs, of which I will not share with you, because no, that would be a disaster. They're teaching children, when you want to growl like a tiger, when you're really, really angry, take a breath and count to 4. Little kids can do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it should be taught everywhere. Stand in a pulpit. Take a breath. Count to 4. Be still. And remember your relationship with the divine. Remember, in whatever you are doing, the depth of that relationship. When I actually started practicing, I set my smartphone, and this is why this comes to my mind. Set my smartphone to ring periodically through the day, just at random times. And every time it rang, I would ask myself 3 questions. And it only takes 30 seconds. 1, what am I thinking? 2, what am I feeling right now? 3, what is my body feeling right now? Set it randomly and see what that does to your stress level. Because what happened to me when I was working, and there's tons and tons of research talking about our old reptilian brain that connects to our lower spine and causes us to jump into flight, flight, or freeze. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of how creation was created. We can't get rid of it. But the problem for me, and perhaps for some of you, is we live in that space all of the time. And what happens when we do is it starts shutting off the blood circulation in our bodies. And if any of you have headaches, back pain, or just general body pain and wonder why, that little old reptilian brain is flying off into flight, fight, or freeze because of the stress level. So what we're talking about with self-care is lowering that stress level so we can live on the part of the body that works from the brain to the heart, which they're doing some tremendous research in, something called vagal theory, which is very complicated for me. But if we stay there, we don't get caught up in this other body system that literally shuts us down. You know the animals that pretend to be dead to protect themselves? That's kind of what mine did. No more! I quit. It's shut down. We don't have to go there. As clergy, as caregivers, as people who have a propensity, if we don't take care of ourselves, to have compassion fatigue, we have to learn new ways. And again, the third way is to actually listen to the body that we've been given from God. They're amazing tools. And they never lie. Now think about it. Our lives are filled with lies. We never know what a truth is coming at us, whether it's coming from advertising or from our parishioners or from our own brains who have become really, really good at lying to us. Think about it. What did you have for breakfast? And was that really healthy? Oh, yeah, fine. Come on. Listen to your body. We live in the desert right now. My body tells me when I'm thirsty. And the way it does it, the very first number one way that my body tells me that I'm thirsty is I start to get a headache. It speaks loud and clear. Terry, you haven't had water in a while. Pay attention. It tells you when you're hungry, right? If you haven't eaten for 5 or 6 hours because you've been stuck at the computer writing this week's sermon, and all of a sudden you go, oh, your body tells you. Even when you're just a little bit hungry instead of going over hungry. And I won't go down that tangent as far as the kind of work we might do. Body is so wise. It tells you when you need to pee. I'm sorry. It really does, right? How many of you listen? No. Sometimes you don't. And then how does that feel? Then the body starts telling you other things. You maybe get a backache. Our bodies are brilliant. Remember, they were created very, very good by the Creator. They were intricately and beautifully made. And they will tell you everything you know. How many of you stay up and work even though your body says you're tired? Huge, huge issue. Because I would bet that most of you could go on a 2-week retreat tomorrow and you could spend most of it sleeping. Remember, my cat sat on me for 2 years. 2 years. So learn to listen. And that's part, remember I said I asked myself 3 questions when my phone dinged, and one of them was, what is my body feeling right now? Right now. Check in. Close your eyes. Feel into your body. And just notice if there are any sensations. Little tick behind my left ear. My body is shaking. It's an excited nervousness for me. What's yours doing? And then as we connect with our bodies, we can more clearly, in fact, I believe with great clarity, hear God's wisdom for our lives. You see, as we shut down our bodies and don't do that, we don't hear so clearly because God speaks to us this way. Spirit dwells within, right? Our body's the temple of the Spirit. The Spirit dwells within. This is how the divine speaks to us. And if we keep, through stress-related things, shutting down our bodies, are we really listening to God? Or are we just listening to our mind stories and our ego chattering after us about what we should be doing or what somebody else wants us to do? Or how can we accomplish this or that? It is here. So from my heart, I come with a little courage and a new way. Not cured from all of the things that I left with 11 and a half years ago, but certainly more whole and more able to hear divine wisdom in my life again. A few more things, if you really want the long lists. Truth and integrity. Prescription for self-care, you better be really, really true with yourself. With others as well. But be true to yourself. Become the watcher of your lives. We've heard this several times in these talks. Learn to manage your mind and all of those mind stories that we tell and all of those lies that our minds, our egos are very capable of telling us. Feel your emotions. That's another whole day's worth of work because we hide from our feelings really, really well. And in my case, all of those hidden feelings ended up as chronic illness, as body pain, and autoimmune diseases. Hiding feelings, not so good a prescription. Again, another topic. Rest. Play. My granddaughters have taught me that best. Play, laughter. When was the last time you were on a swing? Or in a canoe? You guys live in a beautiful place for those of you that are in the Rocky Mountains and around this region. But play, laughter, those things that get the rest of the stuff out of our heads are so healing and help connect us with God's voice within. Exploring nature. I had a carrot once. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I'm not kidding. Part of my healing journey has been to reconnect with the earth. And so I learned to garden. I had never done it before. But reconnecting with the land was incredibly reassuring to me that everything can be made new. And the first time I pulled one of my very young carrots out of the ground and poured my water bottle on it to get the dirt off of it and bit into it right in the midst of the garden. And my dad's brothers, my uncles, were over here on the side watching. And I stood there. And I thought, oh my God. I had never eaten a carrot that tasted like that in my life. I'd died and gone to heaven. That's how we should eat and be nourished. So connect with the land. Journal. I saw some of you journaling earlier this morning as I took a little walk around. Continue. Decluttering your life. Again, another topic. Be vulnerable. Ask for help when you need help. As people who serve the church, and we've heard this several times, we're not very good at this. In fact, we really suck at it. Be vulnerable. Say who you are and what's going on in your life to someone else. And lastly, move. Move. You don't have to move like my 3.5-year-old Charlie, the little girl who dances every time she isn't sitting, she's dancing. You don't have to move like Charlie, but move. These bodies were not meant to sit behind desks and be still in that way. They're meant to move. One last thing, and then I'm going to ask for some questions and give you guys a brief exercise to do. Time is not an excuse for not taking care of yourself. How many of you get up every morning and go, oh my God, there's not enough time? Because the list of to-dos is this long, and there's these many hours. That is one of the worst games that we play with ourselves. And it's a mind story. And so if you have the thought, there isn't enough time, think about how that makes you feel. Your blood pressure goes up, you're a little bit anxious, you feel like you have to move faster. You can fill in the blank of however not having enough time makes you feel. Then how do you act when you have that feeling state of anxiousness? You rush. You hurry. You don't do things as well as you would if your thought was there was enough time. And then what are the results of the work that you're doing? Oh, the bulletin has to go back to the administrative assistant again because I made so many mistakes. Or whatever the issue is. Which just proves that in your own mind there wasn't enough time. So, come to that place of being still, that moment of meditation. When you think the thought there is not enough time, and come into your own center with God. And then think a new thought. There will be a perfect amount of time for what I have to do today, or for this event, or whatever it is. And then, what is your feeling state? Oh, there's a little more joy. There's a little more positive attitude. And from that place, how do you do your work? You're going to be more thorough, more complete, more accurate. And the result is your work is perfect for then, which absolutely feeds back into there wasn't enough time to do what I needed to do. Does that make sense? There is plenty of time to fit healthy eating, exercise, plenty of sleep, and whatever else there is in your lives that needs to be done. Plenty of time. Take a breath. Put your feet on the floor. Be still. And know that you are beloved. And live loving yourself in that very way that God loves you. Learn to listen. Listen to this magnificent creation that you've been given. And always, always know that in the stillness is God.